in, the water's warm, their product could be great for U.S.-Russia relationships. So a little dig there over the Cambridge Analytica scandal. But that does get at the issue of, like, why would anyone give more data to Facebook right now?
Yeah, I think it's a totally fair question. And my hope is between now and the time that this product rolls out, Facebook will say a lot more about how our data is going to be collected, how it's going to be used, how we can protect our privacy. But I think you hear something else in that quote from Joey Levin, which is existential panic. If you follow Facebook, you know that when they decide they want to enter a market, they can absolutely crush a competitor. Last year, they decided to copy Snapchat stories, introduce that feature, and now Snapchat is really struggling.
Because this is an app developers conference, and obviously everyone has been talking about privacy and data, right, the last couple of months, what are some of the specific concerns people had about this?
Well, I think you heard Facebook talk about some of them. For example, will my friends be able to see my dating profile? Another set of concerns I would say people have raised is we know that Facebook has used our data to have ads targeted at us. I believe they said yesterday that they are not going to use our dating profiles for ad targeting, but they're definitely going to know a lot more about us if we upload a kind of complete list of all of our desires onto their servers.
Is it also weird, given the fact that Mark Zuckerberg's brainchild of Facebook originally started with something called Face Mash, which basically allowed users to rank each other by hotness? Is he back to his roots here?
There is something about Facebook coming full circle here. It's definitely because that when they started, dating is the saddest circle in all of our lives. It was mine. But, you know, I do think there is something inevitable about this, right? The reason that Facebook's existed at colleges to begin with was often because people did want to know who their classmates were, sometimes because they wanted to date them. And so it has seemed only natural that eventually Facebook would come around to building real dating features. And in some ways, the most surprising thing about it is that it took the company 14 years to get here.
What does it tell us that Facebook is unveiling this idea now? I mean, given that they've had all this controversy over the last few months, it sounds like it's just business as usual for them.
I think that is a fair way of looking at it. I think there also might be something to the idea that Facebook wants a feel-good story to tell. I wouldn't be surprised if they were just looking at ways that they could connect people in a way that felt really positive instead of ways that feel really fraught and dangerous.
Casey Newton is Silicon Valley editor at The Verge. Thank you for speaking with All Things Considered.
It's my pleasure.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News.
18 minutes past 4. This is 90.7 WFAE. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Rumsey. Coming up later this hour on All Things Considered, Kanye West is stirring up new controversy in part for suggesting that black slavery was a choice.
He was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all. It's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison.
West is also being scorned for his support of President Trump. That story in about 20 minutes here on All Things Considered. Support today comes from WFAE members and Tyndall Subaru Gastonia, featuring the new Outback with eyesight safety technology that sees problems and initiates action to help avoid trouble. Details at TyndallSubaru.com and on Facebook at Tyndall Subaru. Also, Live Nation presenting an evening with Fleetwood Mac, February 24th, 2019, at Spectrum Center in Charlotte. Tickets available Friday, 10 a.m. at LiveNation.com. Clear and mild tonight with a low around 57. Tomorrow, sunny, warm, a high of 85. Sunshine again on Friday and a high of 87 or so. And some clouds over the weekend with a chance of showers. Right now it's 82 degrees in Charlotte.
Mike Collins. On the next Charlotte Talks, the candidates compete for poll positions in next Tuesday's North Carolina primary. Voters cast their first ballots in an election that could change the balance of power. It's a competitive race in the 9th Congressional District. 3 Mecklenburg lawmakers face primary challenges for General Assembly seats, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. We talked to 2 longtime observers of state politics and the chairs of both parties. News and Brews edition from Birdsong Brewing tomorrow at 9. Support for NPR comes from this station.
And from Zoom. Zoom offers cloud video conferencing, online meetings, and a video conference room solution in one platform, featuring digital video and audio screen sharing, account registration, and more at zoom.us. And from Epson, the EcoTank 4750 printer for business comes with up to 2 years of ink in the box for printing up to 11,000 pages. Cartridge-free printing with EcoTank at epson.com/EcoTankPublicRadio.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Mary Louise Kelly.
And I'm Audie Cornish. 3 years ago, there was a name that was nearly impossible to get away from. Rachel Dolezal. She was a white woman who passed for black.
I'm Rachel Dolezal, the president of the NAACP in Spokane, Washington. Malcolm X is my hero.
Are you black?
Yes.
But after she was outed as white, the public backlash and fascination was intense. So what happened to Dolezal afterwards?
Rachel still doesn't have a job. Rachel still struggles to pay the rent every month. She works braiding hair. That's really the only kind of constant work that she's been able to find.
That's Laura Brownson. She's the filmmaker behind a new documentary on Netflix called The Rachel Divide. She told me she spent 2 years filming Dolezal and her family. They become isolated inside their small house in Spokane. Normal activities like picking up the kids from school or taking them to the barbershop seem to only invite public hostility.
Would you please move?
Okay, so where do you want me to park is what I'm asking.
Park you the way you want.
I just want to make sure that Franklin can find me when he comes out.
When your son ain't lost, you just move from out in front of my shop. Now.
It's the phenomenon of becoming a media pariah and the impact that that has on a family. And there's a collateral damage and fallout that is very big and very hard to recover from.
Her son, Franklin, who at the time of filming is about 13 years old, he seems to have the most difficult time with it.
All my mom did was say that she was black and people start losing their minds. You know, all they say is that she's a liar.
He makes this point, essentially, that a lot of people made over and over again, that everything might be solved for her if she stopped claiming to be black. And other critics say this to her face, right? That essentially they wouldn't care very much about any of her life if she was honest and had not lied. What was her response to that?
I think I imagined that Rachel would have a more traditional character arc, that she would move from a place of catastrophe to something else, and that would in part be due to her growth. I did not get that character arc. She has remained resolute in her determination and in her perception of her identity.
This gets to the point of her family background, which you dig into her growing up in Montana, where her parents, who are white, they're the ones who went public about her background. And you talk about her growing up with her adopted siblings who are black and African American. And then there's like a cascade of allegations that I want to dig into a little bit. One of which is that Rachel and her sister Esther, her adopted sister, say that her family was abusive to her. Why do you think that this was important to include in this story?
You know, there's no doubt in my mind that the trauma that Rachel and also her siblings endured during their childhood, which is, you know, it was a very religious home. Corporal punishment was very much part of what they all experienced. And Rachel's attachment to her siblings, I really think, began her kind of life's journey in terms of disassociation from whiteness and an attachment to blackness.
And I want to be clear here, her parents have denied these claims, and her sister, who is featured in the movie, also says she was sexually abused by Rachel's older biological brother, and that Rachel was set to testify against him and the family on the eve of her essentially being revealed. This part of it hasn't been talked about too much.
No, this part hasn't been talked about.
In part because the charges were dismissed, I should say, but it's not something that kind of came out in the conversation with her.
That's true. It was a detail that, for whatever reason, really didn't get traction in sort of the media's treatment of Rachel's story. There are some things that are very difficult to get to the bottom of, and you know, the truth is elusive with Rachel, and so we did allow for the parents to deny it, and one of her brothers, Ezra, of course, to also suggest that none of these